everyone, and welcome to our second adventure in painting. So, what? Manny, didn't you see the camera? I don't go walking into your studio. Alright, thanks. Finally. Come on. Close the door. Thanks. So recently, my wife and I went to the Albuquerque Zoo and we took some wonderful photos of animals, and I thought that today we would paint one of the animals I saw, and that's the goose. I'm about to place the photo up for you to draw, and you can stop the video and draw it at your leisure. And while you're doing that, I'm going to pop in on a friend at his work. Okay, so go ahead and do that. I cannot find this address. Whoops! Did I accidentally do that? We're back. How was your drawing? I know this one was a little tougher than our last project, but still very good practice. The producer wants to know how my visit went with my friend at work. Well, as it turns out, he said it wasn't really a good time because he felt like everything was falling down around him. So, that's okay. We'll try another time. Let's begin with our painting. Let's look at our palette. We have titanium white here, Van Dyke brown, burnt sienna, yellow ochre, permanent red, alizarin crimson, dioxazine purple, ultramarine blue, cobalt blue, and cerulean blue. Now what I'm going to do is mix the colors ahead of time, and I'll let you watch me on fast speed. That's just so it won't bore you. And I'll go from light to dark. Now that we have our colors, let's go ahead and begin. And we will start off with his beak. We'll take some of the dark color and put it on here. Something to remember about dark colors is that most people feel that one dark color is sufficient for most paintings that have dark color. Really what it is that the eye prefers to see a variety of dark colors. It's just like light colors. Just because you have light colors in a painting doesn't mean one light color is sufficient. It's the same for the dark colors. So you might have some that are a little cooler, some that are a little warmer. For example, here in the beak we have some that's just a little, like there's some little dark blues on the top here. When we come around the head, also there's some darker blues. Now the dark I use is not black. A lot of artists don't use black, and the reason why is because the eye prefers to see dark something, whatever. Dark blue, dark green, dark red, generally more than just black. So it's good, as I said, to have a variety of dark colors too. Come around here before I move on. I want to just work on the face a little bit, just because it's fun. I could come back to it later, but I think just because it's fun. So let's work on the face. Now on the face we have a little bit of light here. And it becomes lighter as we go down. There we go. Very nice. Now we have some blues on the beak, lighter blues. Little bit here, and then those have just a hint of highlight. Now right by the eye we see a little bit of shape here with a little bit of light. And we don't see the eye that well, but we get a hint of it. And I'll just make a slight distinction here for the beak. Now we're going to continue further down with his neck, the dark neck. It's coming along, yeah. Okay, let's go back to the fold. I don't know what it's called, the fold around the cheek. And for that we use some of the lighter colors I mixed. This one's almost the same as the background color as my gessoed colors, so it's hard to see. There's some blues there, there's some red, some with a little bit of reds here. Like a gray red. Okay, we start getting a little lighter. Remember that at any time that you can stop the video and work on it or backtrack it, it's just fine. See how the edge, I don't just do a crisp edge, but I kind of slightly pull it into the area around it that gives it the appearance of the feathers. I'll take the lightest color I mixed and put a few strokes in there. And back to the neck, we do have a few little hints of color, not that much. And we'll use some of the blues in here for that. Okay, now this next section, the body, sometimes when you look at the photograph that you're working on and it looks super complicated. I mean, yeah, if we look at all of this with all the feathers here, you're right, it does look very, very complicated. So sometimes what we need to do is look at it as sections. So we might take this as one section. This is another section, another section, another section. Maybe this is another section. And do it a step at a time. Okay, what do I mean? Well, let's go ahead and do that. Let's take his top section. All right, and that's the feathers up here. Okay, for now we're going to pretend that there's no feathers. It's basically color. We'll continue further to our left. You see, at this point, I am not preoccupied with detail. Not at all. All right. Let's look at it. Now we can add just a little bit of a shape. Some of you might be wondering, how is it I can keep putting colors on this without disturbing everything? Well, the reason is because I don't use very much color. So since I don't use a lot of paint, then there's not that much to move around. All right, so that's one section. Now what we're going to do is leave it for now. And we will go on to our next section, okay? We said consider everything like a section. So that one wasn't so hard, right? We will go on to our next one. Let's see, we'll consider this another section here. What I find in paintings is lots of times what you do in one section, you kind of repeat, even though the shapes might be slightly different, you basically repeat it later in the painting again. Good. Let me see, make sure I have a distinction here. I don't lose this distinction. And this feather here is a very prominent feather. I don't want to lose that one either. The edge of the browns becomes very dark before it turns light. So I put a little edging on it, soften it. A little edging there too. Good. We will now advance to the back part of the feathers. And on the back part, they're still in the brown family. We'll pull this color over. And this one will have some very beautiful feathers coming towards the back, dark ones. Let's see, now we will go on to the back part of his tail. Pull that down. And a lot of the tail is dark, but remember what I said, we need various dark colors, not just one dark color. We need to keep it interesting to the eye. So we do have our darkest color. And let's add some other dark colors. This time maybe a brown purple. You want this to stand out a little bit. And it's a beautiful little feather here we don't want to lose. Good. There's another dark feather right under here, or group of feathers. Excellent. Now, should I go on to the bottom part of him, or should I do his actual feathers on the top? Probably half of you are saying the bottom, half of you are saying the top. Let's do some of the top. There. Okay. Now, what most beginning artists would do at this point is they would just take white, complete white, and do the tops of the feathers, but they are not complete white. Also, what I need to do is the color I'm going to use, I need to thin it a little bit, so I add a little bit of solvent mixed with linseed oil. And the reason for that is so that the paint will flow. If it doesn't, it'll just clump up. So now also notice I'm not just pulling him straight like this. I'm staying with the shape of his body. And I'm just taking this section. Remember, earlier we did sections, so I'm sticking to the top section right now. Maybe I'll change color just a little bit. Add a little bit of purple in there. We're going to take just a little break from our painting because we're going to start a new series and we'll have it on from time to time, and it's called Mannequins in History. What's interesting is that you might not have realized this, but mannequins have affected history in so many different ways. So our producer says he has some actual film from Leonardo da Vinci's time. Let's see it. I cannot find the address. Ah, there it is. Buongiorno. Buongiorno, Signore Da Vinci. I am Manny the Temp. To pose, first you need to take off your bow tie. What? My bow tie? Now please stand in a circle with your arms out. This one? Alright. Then, is anybody cold or just me? Is this like your hobby? Please, no sound. Mr. Leonardo, can we send out for some pizza or something? We are finished. Great! Let me see. Well, it's okay, but to succeed in this business, you have to do things that are interesting to people. And draw like kittens or dinosaurs. Yeah, dinosaurs. Can you draw me a dinosaur, please, 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 please? Was that even real? How do you know that was real? He says he knows it's real because it looks really old, and that's actual footage from Leonardo's security cameras. Let's get back to our painting. Again, you might be wondering how I can do all this detail even though the paint is wet. The reason I can is because the first layer I put on was super thin. Since it is so thin, this second layer I'm doing now with the details is thicker. Even though I thinned it a little bit, I'm applying it thicker. And since I'm applying it thicker, it's not moving the paint below it. I'll make some of these just a little lighter. Since more light is hitting this area of his body. Now that we have this top part down, why don't we go on to the middle section? Again, keep with the shape of the feathers, the shape of his body or his wings. Do some of these a little lighter, since again more light hits this area of we'll continue downwards. You notice I don't make all the patterns the same color. And the reason why is because even though in reality they may be the same color, the light is hitting the body in different places. So some parts will be darker and some parts will be lighter. We're now moving towards the back. You see how I am kind of jiggling the brush a little bit. That's so that it won't be so perfect. It needs to be irregular. And there seems to be a little line here, a little sort of division here from these feathers to the back ones. And we do have some lines that pull back, dark lines here. And they expand out a little bit. So it expands out a little bit. We could put a little light there. Good. Now the next section we're going to do is his bottom. Why don't we do the bottom left? Okay, bottom left. And basically what I'm going to do here is what we did up here. For that we had various grays. We had some warm grays, and of course it gets darker as it folds around towards the bottom. And let's get some cooler grays too in there. The eye likes to see both, not just one or the other, but both. Pull some white up close to the neck. And before we leave, we'll just put little highlights in there too. I mean, stronger than what we had. And that will do right in the front. It's almost pure white. Then he's got some little edging of light color there. Now it does have a little bit of shadow here. Okay, I hope I'm not losing you. Let's continue with this next section down here. Again, it's basically the same thing. We're pulling color. Well, you see what we've been doing? That when we first looked at this photograph, it looked super complicated. But when we decided that we were going to do it in sections, then it gets easier. And it's not so threatening. Now let's give it shape. I'll take our darker colors, and this time it seems like his feathers are towards, see, they have a slight curve to them, but they're also pulled to the right, to our right. It's very, very irregular, the whole thing. Some of it, what happens is when I first put it on, I know it's darker, but I also know that it's going to mix with the color that it's under. I intentionally mix it with the color under it to lighten it. So for example here, even though this colors might be a little too dark, just the fact that I will pull it will lighten it, because some of the color underneath will show through. This is such a beautiful animal. We're almost done with this section. What we are missing is a little bit of highlights. So let's put those in after I clean my brush. Let's see, up here there's a lot of highlight. Lot of highlight. Especially towards the top of this section. And there's a little edging of dark before we go into our last light section. Okay, we're finally gotten to the back. And the back isn't very much different from the other light parts of the body. So after I clean my brush, I'll do that. And this light part, what you notice too is that towards the top and towards the bottom of it, the light will change. We will have a lot of blues in there. Surprisingly, a lot of blues. Let's get some of our blue, light blues that I mixed earlier, and we will put them in. Even here a little bit. And then remember, we always put worms too, so let's put some worms in there too. Otherwise, one might be a little too overpowering. It's a little softness here between this color and the dark, so let's soften it. Soften, soften, which helps the curve. Helps it looks like it's curving into the body. That one wasn't so hard. Well, we did forget the highlight. Right about here we have some very, very light feathers. This is where most light hits. All right, so I believe that is our goose. Now what I'm going to do, like we did last time, is I am going to paint a little bit of the background just to give you more an idea. But I'm going to do it in speed painting, so go ahead and enjoy it. Okay, it's time where we pick a product and review it. I think I have one in mind. Let's go pick it. All right, the product I've chosen today is a product I like a lot. And it's by the company Masterson Art Products. Now it's called Freshwater Rinse Well, and well, the way it works is you fill this up with water, Put it in the container, turn it upside down, and you see it's filling up the inside here. So then this is, of course, for acrylic and watercolor artists to keep your brushes clean. There, it's filled. Now, one thing the watercolor artists and acrylic artists hate is to keep running back and forth to the sink because your water container gets dirty. And you know when it gets dirty, it can affect your brush, it can affect your future brush strokes, it can muddy up your colors. Nobody wants that. And so this provides the answer. I'll give you a little demonstration. I'll put some acrylic on here. And let's see if I can get it up close to you. There we go. Now along here there are some little ridges. Just clean your brush, clean. Okay. And then flush it away. Do you hear it? It's flushed away. And it's refilling itself for fresh water. It was very nicely constructed, this item. Also, they provided some little holes here so you can put your brushes you're using during that particular session. It's a great product. I would highly recommend it. Well, I guess by now you realize that I'm reviewing products that I like and that I think will be useful to you too. So nobody's paying me to say this. I really do like this product. And if you want to contact Masterson Art Products, I'll have their links below. That's it. Our second class is done. I hope you had fun, that you learned something, that you created something, because I had fun with you all. Thank you for spending time with me. Now, before I leave, I wanted to mention something, and that is that I keep getting this question about the photograph at the end of the video. Now here it is, right there. I get two questions from this. First is, where did you take it? Well, our family got to go to Italy in May of 2015. And so that was in Florence, right in front of the Uffizi. I guess there was some kind of construction, and they had this panel up, and my daughter Kristen took a photo of me looking cool in front of it. Trying to look cool in front of it. Okay, the second question people asked me was, Abel, were you trying to kiss the statue? No. She was trying to kiss me.